Good morning, class. This is your 3D design professor getting in touch virtually by way of phone video here. So I'm going to do 3 short videos for you today. One that shows a little sculpture I made to address the term unity, and then one addressing the term variety, and then finally the last one that's also due on Wednesday, the term symmetry. So this is the first of the 3 videos. So this is part of my studio at home, and we're coming over to my drafting table. And here's the first sculpture that I made. I'll talk a little bit about it more in detail in a moment, but first you want to think about materials that you have a number of that are the same or similar. So I was considering a box of nails was a possibility. Shoes, I have lots of shoes at home, that was a possibility. And I ended up picking paintbrushes because we had a lot of them at hand. They're kind of light in weight, and I knew I could pretty quickly generate an interesting structure with these materials. For a fastener, in this case, I chose masking tape because I had it. And also I cut it into thin strips about 1/4 inch wide by 2 inches long, just so that it didn't look like the tape was simply torn off the roll. There's no ragged edges. But it was a quick, efficient way to join these things together. So when I started building this, and I'm going to get a little closer and I'll give it a spin. First I just tried to get parts to behave in a way that was interesting, as in getting them off the ground and connected to each other. And then I made some other choices as well. One choice was that all the bristles be facing up, and that was mostly a practical thing. I didn't want to damage any of the brushes. They don't belong to me. I didn't want to get in trouble. But it also, that decision actually works with the whole theme of unity as well, since they're certainly unifying elements in that they're all similar, but they're also in a similar orientation with the bristles pointed in an upward direction. And then finally, I chose a little foam brush at the end just to add a little bit of something different, and we'll talk about the variety sculpture a little bit later, but in this case I just wanted to mix it up and be a little bit playful and have that foam brush sticking out at the end. Other things that I'm thinking about when constructing the sculpture was that certainly ground contact, how the bristle or how the ends of the brush contact the ground. And if you look closely, there's really only 3 that actually touch. The rest are situated above the ground. I'm thinking about use of diagonals. So in this case, I sort of built up and worked in a direction up and right, and that was sort of guided as I worked along, sort of intuitively. But they're not all sitting on the ground. They're not all piled directly up. There's some attitude or angle to the whole sculpture. So that was certainly a consideration while I was going. And also, just to get it structurally sound enough to hold, you know, that was the decision about the tape, the amount of tape, and the location of the tape. So hopefully that helps with thinking about sculpture number 1. They don't have to take hours and hours, and hopefully they're simply with materials that you have at hand, but we want you to use them in an interesting way and to be creative about your connection system. All right, stay tuned. We'll have another video for the next sculpture coming up.